None of my family knows this trip will be the last time they see me. Firstly, I'm okay, physically anyway. Honestly, I have no idea who this is for, but I think I just need it out of my head. The circumstances of my birth were complicated. I broke up 2 marriages, and my family has never been shy about how they feel about me for that. Only one of my brothers has gotten drunk enough to tell me to my face that he resents me for existing. But I know it exists within all of them, at least in some way. I'm much younger than all my siblings, and there was so much that happened out of our hands that I made excuses. But my whole life, I've never quite felt part of the family. As a child, I told myself we'd make up for lost time once I got older and we could talk as equals. Now, at 23, I see glimpses of the life I wished I'd have. But in the end, I'm always too much trouble to involve. I hear everything from my father. I had to find out my niece was in a car accident from him. I had to find out my other niece had a miscarriage from him. I had to find out my oldest brother had a brain tumor haphazardly on a phone call with my father, which he didn't even know I was unaware of. I've known for a while I'm the only one trying, but for the sake of my dreams, I've given every opportunity for them to let me in, but I just can't do it anymore. I have a psychiatric service dog who aids me with CPTSD. He is the single greatest thing to happen to me. Not only did he save my life from myself, but he has made life livable. He can tell when I'm panicking, and he knows pressure therapy to help me through an attack. He stops me from hurting myself in meltdowns, sits with me until the only noise I can hear anymore is his snoring on my lap. He allows me to go grocery shopping by myself. He is my soulmate, and anyone who knows me knows how important he is to me. My dating life isn't thriving, so I took a shot in the dark and asked my niece if she minded if I brought my service dog as my +1 for her wedding at the end of this month. I have to fly across the country to go, so I will be bringing him anyway since I cannot fly alone. I figured it couldn't hurt to see if he could not have to stay in the hotel all night. I do not technically need him for the event, since I'll know every guest and I will be drinking pretty heavily to cope, but getting to spoil him with a bow tie, dancing, and steak sounded like the perfect reward for helping me on my flight. Several times I emphasized that I understood it was an odd request and she could say no if she wanted. She was emphatic that he could come. She said even if I found a date, he could come. I was elated. For once, I felt seen, I felt cared about, I felt valued. And then I got a call from my dad. No one wanted to make things awkward, but the mother of the bride was not okay with a dog being at the venue. I explained that he is a trained service animal and will not impede the ceremony in any way. And I'd of course remove him if he did. Still, he said they didn't like it. I was so tired of hearing everyone else's words through my father. He won't be around forever, and sooner or later, they will have to start talking to me. I had one request: let the bride tell me. When I asked her, she said yes, and until she told me she changed her mind, I was under the assumption he could go. Well, I never heard back. My dad kept dropping hints when I'd call him, but I told him what my expectations were. When I RSVP'd, I put my dog as my +1 on the response to let them know I wasn't backing down this time. At this point, I didn't even care if she said he couldn't go. I just wanted to hear it from her. The next morning, I woke up to an email from my father. Not even a text, a fucking email explaining that my niece didn't want to be the bad guy, but my dog was not welcome at the wedding. He said he was sorry, but he could still come with me to the hotel if I wanted. Something inside me broke, I think. I realized this is truly a helpless case. They are never going to respect me the way I crave them to. To this day, not one of our conversations has been started by them. I always initiate, and now, the one time I request a direct contact, I get an email. Family means everything to me. Over the last few years, I've redefined what a family can be. And if right now my family needs to be a very damaged orphan and their service animal, I'm grateful I have that much. So I'm going to the wedding, and then I'm never going to talk to any of them again. And the sad part is, I didn't even think they're going to notice. Update. First, thank you to everyone for the kind words and all the advice. It sincerely means so much that so many people care. I want to address all the questions about why I want to go to this wedding at all. There are plenty of practical reasons that I can name, but the truth is, I need to go for my own closure. I have a strange relationship with death and loss. My mother died when I was 5. My family split up right after. I've lost several caregivers to serious diseases, grieving their death as they lived. I've learned how to navigate my grieving process. If I don't go to this wedding, I will regret it. Not only is it my last chance to see my childhood family all together in one place, but if I don't go, I show them they can bully me. I do not want to make a spectacle of my trauma with them, but that does not mean I have to walk away with my tail between my knees. I'm not scared of them. My relationship is non-existent, but I did see my siblings, cousins, nieces, and nephews fairly regularly. When I was a kid, they intimidated and bullied me into silence, but I'm not a child anymore. I lived with these people. I can manage one night if for no other reason than to prove they cannot control me. Thanks again for all the kind words. Happy to provide a pup date if someone can tell me how to post pictures from the app. Pup date for everyone asking. He's a 2.5-year-old black and tan coonhound. Dog tax. Post-wedding update. So, I went to the wedding. It went about how I expected it to go, though one can never be ready for a spontaneous conga line. Sadly, there was no secret last-minute invite, nor any secret plot of which the bride was unaware. She felt bad saying no, so she lied, and she didn't want to tell me that, and she still didn't, even at the wedding. No one really said much at all, in fact. The mother of the bride did not speak to me at all. My brother tiptoed around the subject until the end of the night. To his credit, he did apologize for all the dog stuff as he said goodbye. Strangely, the apology didn't make me feel much better. There was no big confrontation either, mainly because no one cared to listen to me if I tried. As the reception began, part of me wondered how much I was going to miss the people, the environment, the vibe, really. Truthfully, I surprised myself with how ready I was to leave. Goodbye was short and bit were sweet. The venue was pretty and the alcohol was free, so I made the best of my night, but I got what I needed out of it, I think. Getting home tonight felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders. I know more than ever that I need to do this, and what I once saw as cutting my family in half, I can now see as clearing space for new family, one that cares. Thank you for all your kind words and all the support for my dog. Arrogance is bliss. You don't love me. You love an idea of me you fabricated in your mind when I was a child. I'm no longer a child. I'm far from perfect, but I'm growing. I'm glowing. And I'm grieving the reality that none of you will ever know the person I become. You call it love, but my scars disagree. You hate my hair, my style, my beliefs. You hate me. And the saddest part is, I don't even think you know you do. Me 25M grew up with parents 48F and 52M who had an open marriage. It sort of messed me up, and my parents wants to know why I had not spoken to them in almost 4 years. New update. I found out when I was around 12 that my parents liked to play around, if you can call it that. I did not get until I was around 14 what that really meant. Anyways, I kept my mouth shut and focused on myself and moved out when I was 18, and we have barely spoken since. I ended up becoming very insecure. I struggled when it came to dating and girls, and was alone for most of my teens. Mom and dad was this perfect couple that was well liked by everyone. All I can remember is how alone I felt during that time, and was too afraid to speak to my parents about how I had it. They were always smiling and seemed to have the perfect marriage, while they saw other people while I felt alone and miserable. They used to go on weekend trips and was alone for many weekends, and they rarely brought me along for vacations, and I ended up being on my own when they did as well. I struggle with depression and started seeing a therapist and are on antidepressants right now. I just felt like I did not matter to my parents at all and see no real reason for why I should talk to them now. I have not celebrated Christmas with them or not been at home since I was 19 because I honestly have nothing but bad memories from living with them. I just felt like I was in the way. Not sure what I should do here. My emotions are all over the place. I don't think they know. I struggle with depression. Update. I tried posting this earlier, but yeah, some other things have also happened, so wanted to add that as well. I decided to write a letter, but ended with me using that letter as reference to what I wanted to say to them instead. I wrote the letter and actually just planned to drop in their mailbox and just let them read it, but honestly, after so many years, I needed to have the conversation with them, so I did. So I went home and surprise, Dad and Mom had a friend over. The woman who I ran into a few days ago, let's call her Claire. They were just sitting in the living room just talking. I asked Claire politely to leave because I need to speak to my parents. She said, sure, and she left. My parents understood I had something to discuss and they did not argue. Apparently, they were talking about me, and Claire actually came over because she was worried about me after I basically ignored her the other day when I ran into her. I sat down with my parents, had the letter I had written, and they understood I had a lot to say. The whole thing was weird. I sounded like a prosecutor trying to convince a jury of all my parents' wrongdoings. It ended up being a 40-minute indictment of my parents. I went through all of it, how alone I felt, me struggling with depression, me seeing a therapist on antidepressants, me feeling since I was 11 that was always in the way, that I never mattered to them, and that other people were always more important, how Claire, who was 25, the same age I am now when she started hanging around with you, actually gave more of a damn than you did, how you dad yelled at me when I messed up the settings on the dishwasher while you were away. I was 11 and did not know how it worked, and that I offered to wash them by hand, which I did. I was bullied in school and was socially awkward, had no friends, and was always alone both at school and at home. I was 11 and had to deal with being alone on the weekends. Even Christmas was weird and awkward. I remember seeing families light Christmas trees in our street, seeing parents and their kids. But you guys went to your Christmas get-togethers, and only on Christmas Day were you home, and I honestly felt alone then as well. I have no such memories or felt any belonging whatsoever. And now you keep asking me why I have barely spoken to you for 4 years. I don't know you and you never bothered to get to know me. Other people were always more important. When I found out and understood what you guys were into, I was even more mad. Why was that more important than me? How is it fair that you are happy and I am alone and miserable? It's not fair because you did this to me. I have spent my childhood alone, my teens alone, and now my 20s alone so far. I never had a girlfriend because I struggle to trust people and have no idea how to get close to people. You shared a picture of me on FB, one of the few of us together from when I was a kid. Saw Claire and your other GF comment on it, how cute I was and what a great family we were. Notice anything on those pictures? I never smiled. Why did you even have me to begin with? Clearly, I was just a prop for you to show off to let others know what great parents you were. Your FB profiles makes me sick, to honest. Dad wanted to say something, and Mom just looked stunned and she had tears. I just got up and left, and that was that. I never yelled or called them any names. I was surprisingly calm. I honestly felt numb walking out, but also a lot lighter. I left my spare key to their place and just walked back to my place. Mom has been texting and tried calling me. I think they are both struggling on what to say to me. I just demanded they remove the pictures of me from their FB, which they did. They do not get to pretend to the world like they were great parents anymore. I refuse to be a prop. So that's the update. Still gonna continue with my therapists, or may need to find a new one. New update. Just wanted to give an update and thank you for all the comments. I decided to switch therapists, and the new one is better than my old one. Still dealing with anxiety and feel very lonely sometimes, but trying to get through the day. Had a long talk with Mom, who actually decided to stop by my place. She and I talked for almost 3 hours. I decided not to berate her, and instead just being honest and explain how my life has been and how I'm dealing with a bunch of things. It was as honest as it could get with me, basically just sharing how I was doing. Mom did not realize how bad it was, and she just gave me a hug. I don't know why, but that helped. She was not sure what to say about everything, and I don't really blame her. She said, "Come home for a while, especially at Christmas. You don't have to sit in your apartment alone." Told her I would think about it. Mom looks like she finally realized that I had been in pain for quite some time, and her recognizing that is, I guess, what I really wanted. Like, she finally got it. So yeah, progress, I guess. Still not sure what the future holds, still feel very apathetic, and my anxiety can get the best of me sometimes, and have had days I feel very low, like nothing matters anymore. But I guess it's a step in the right direction.